waiting, just anticipating things she may never possess. While she's without them, try a little tenderness. She may be weary. Women do get weary wearing the same shabby dress. But when she's weary,
do that again. I like it.
try a little tenderness.
Darling. Who's there?
My husband.
Susan!
You never told me you were married.
You never asked me.
Susan, you got a bed?
What can I tell him?
What do you usually tell him?
Susan!
I'm in here, Tom.
The old man decided to send Jack instead of me, then he can go on to Edinburgh, which is his territory anyway. I told them yesterday, but nobody pays any attention.
Oh. Good evening. Found your little lady on the loose outside. Fortunately, the address was on the collar.
Oh, Tom, this is,
Easton, Max Easton.
That's very good of you, Commander. I really am most grateful.
Not at all.
You'll have a drink, won't you?
Thank you, no, I really must be off. You have to be more careful, little lady. Next time it may not end so pleasantly. Well, good night.
You will change your mind, Commander, and stay and have a drink with us.
Actually, I was on my way to bed.
Oh, well, I'll see you out.
No, don't bother, please.
No, my dear fellow, I insist. It really was frightfully good of you.
No, please don't.
I can't think of a little brute called Alfred. Well, these things happen. You will come and see us again, won't you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Miss Price.
Good morning, Commander.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Morning, John.
Good morning, Max.
You're up and around early. Has war been declared in your department?
No, serious. I can only get a squash court at 5 o'clock.
Oh.
Yes, it's all very well for you atomic starfish people. The submarine hasn't even been built yet. But I can't slip away at 4:30. The old man would spot it. Yeah, you know, I think he's had his eye on me for the last 2 weeks.
He probably suspects you haven't got anything to do.
Probably.
What's on our plate this morning, sir?
Rather quiet, really, sir? Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Morning, Bates. Doing your bloodhound act again, I see. What files have you lost today?
I do not lose files. Other people fail to return them. I see here the 27/928 has been in your department, Easton, for 2 weeks and 4 days.
Really? Brian, have we got 27 stroke, whatever it is?
928.
928?
27/928.
Nothing like this ever happens in my department, I'm glad to say.
May I remind you, Larkin, of this afternoon's inter-service meeting? The last one seemed to slip your memory.
Oh, yes, yes. Right day, wrong time. That was all, old boy.
You're expected to, Easton.
Oh, no. That means I have to go home and change into uniform.
I am sorry. 2:30, Ministry of Supply.
I don't think I like that, man.
Don't be silly. We change, we go, then we don't come back here afterwards.
That's brilliant. Sab, confirm the squash court for 5 o'clock.
Certainly, sir.
Look, I'm in rather a hurry. I've got a date. Do you mind if I have the shower first? Help yourself. Thanks.
Excuse me.
Oh,
Your name's Easton, isn't it?
Yes.
Holland. Charles Holland. We met in Murmansk in 41. Your submarine was slightly damaged.
Good heavens, yes. How nice to see you. You got me out of a rather nasty jam. And I don't mean the submarine.
Oh, well, we've all grown up a little since then. You're still in the Navy?
That's a moot point. I'm warming a seat at the Admiralty. Are you with the Foreign Office still?
Yes, I just finished 4 years in Washington. Can I drop you somewhere? Jump in.
All right.
Straight to Richmond? Right, sir.
I beg your pardon.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mrs. Killain, Commander Easton.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Whereabouts in the King's Road, Easton?
Oh, anywhere. Sloane Square will do.
That's on our way, isn't it, Colthorpe?
I hope I'm not being a nuisance.
Ran into Easton just now in the club. Haven't seen him since the war.
You've been having one of those dreadful whatever happened to old Boise conversations, you know?
Yes, really makes one feel quite old. You must feel it more than most, Easton. Sherborne in the Admiralty after spending most of your life at sea. Virginia, you must have read about Easton. His fame must have reached America. He was one of our most distinguished submarine commanders. He sank.
Oh, Holland, this is most embarrassing. Mrs. Killain doesn't want to... Killain? I met a Killain once in Baltimore. Charming man. He wouldn't be your husband by any chance, would he?
Mrs. Killain is a widow. Her husband was killed a few years ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's quite all right. It's a natural mistake. It's not a very common name.
Yes, sir?
Yes, that's fine. Good night, Mrs. Killain. I do hope we meet again.
I hope so, Commander.
Good night, Easton. See you at the club.
Of course.
Let's not leave it so long next time.
Indeed. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Miss Price.
Good morning, Commander.
Morning, Sub.
Good morning, sir.
What have we got on our plate this morning?
Nothing that need disturb us unduly, sir. There's a staff meeting planned this afternoon at 3 p.m. You're requested to attend the reception for the Russian naval mission on Wednesday the 12th at 7 o'clock.
Go on, I'm listening.
Admiral S.'s request for views on gyroscopic torpedo Mark D performance data.
Telephone directory, E to K. Where is it? Oh. Is that the lot?
Admiralty Circular 64B 5204/7, reminding us yet again we're all top secret in this department. That they never get tired of keeping up the pretense.
Will you get me Sloane 0181, please?
It's to be read in initials, sir.
All of which you can apply your little atomic mind to. Hello?
Hello?
Mrs. Killain?
Yes, speaking.
Good morning. This is Max Easton.
Good morning, Commander.
Look, this may sound like a silly question, but have you lost a glove by any chance?
Strangely enough, I have.
Oh, I'm so relieved. I wasn't sure if it was yours. I found it on the pavement. As you drove away last night, I must have knocked it out of the car or something. I'm most awfully sorry.
That's quite all right. If you'll just drop it in an envelope and mail it to me.
Yes, of course. I'm so sorry about this.
That's quite all right. Mail it to flat 417...
Just a minute. I'll get a pencil. Right. What was that again?
Flat 4177 Eaton Square.
Flat 4177 Eaton Square. Eaton Square? Well, that's on my way home. I'll drop it in this evening, if I may.
Oh, no, don't bother. If you'll just, mail it.
No, it's no bother. It's the least I can do is to drop it in.
Yes, Commander. Do drop it in.
Fine. Goodbye now. What were we, sub?
Rising to periscope depth and closing in on an attacking course.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Commander. Won't you come in?
Thank you.
May I offer you a drink?
I'd like that very much.
Pink gin.
How clever of you to guess. Thank you. This is a very pleasant room. Have you been here long?
Several months. Water?
Just a drop, please. You staying for some time?
I'm planning to settle over here.
Good.
Oh, thank you. I don't usually lose gloves in that way.
I don't usually find them.
I'm sure.
Do tell me, how did you come across Charles?
He was a great friend of my husband's.
Really?
From the sound of that, I take it you don't like Charles.
On the contrary, I'm very much impressed with dear old Charles. He's come a long way. He probably talked some government into starting the next war. And I'll be able to go back to sea again.
Charles has gone over to Brussels this morning for talks. He may get the embassy there.
Splendid. How long is he away for?
A week or 10 days.
If you were to lose end by any chance, I'd be delighted to take you out to dinner.
Oh, I'm so sorry I can't. I'm dining with friends. Some other time, perhaps.
Yes, of course. You know, I think old Charles would make a splendid ambassador. They're a sort of breed of their own, aren't they?
Oh, are they?
Yes. Tall, elegant, highly respectable, and rather dull.
Do you really think so?
Don't you?
You're talking about the man I'm going to marry. Another drink, Commander. Oh.
Virginia.
How are you, darling?
It's been such a long
Oh, I just knew something was cooking last summer when you and Charles spent so much time together.
Oh, Commander Easton, Mr. and Mrs. Parrish.
How do you do?
Oh, how do you do, sir? Honey, we sure appreciate Charles asking us to look after you. Charles is a real lucky guy, eh, Commander? Eh?
And we're so happy for the both of you.
Oh, hey, I'm not going to be left out of this. Oh, no. Oh, it's just great, honey. Oh, my favorite niece. I wish I could get to the wedding, honey.
Now, how about a drink?
Great.
Sure, I'd love one.
Commander, or have you time? Martinis.
Oh,
Splendid.
fine.
Well, Virginia, where are we going to take you to dinner, eh?
Oh, so long as it isn't that terrible place we went to last night.
Oh, Adele, it wasn't that bad. What about Claridge's?
Jason, we're staying there.
Well, how about a restaurant?
How about the Caprice?
Caprice, huh?
We lunched there today, dear.
Oh, Adele, for crying out loud, you...
I know a place.
Oh, you do?
Wouldn't amuse you. It's a little far away, anyway. It's down beyond the Tower of London in the East End, in a cellar built by Napoleonic prisoners.
My, that sounds great.
Yeah?
Do you know it, Virginia?
What's it called?
The Sly Old Fox.
Oh, it sounds divine.
I've never heard of it.
It's an old smuggler's inn, really.
Yeah, but how did one get there, Commander?
Well, it's a little difficult to find. Do you know Southwark at all, opposite Wapping Steps?
Not intimately, no.
Well, you cross Tower Bridge past the cathedral onto the traffic lights. It's really rather complicated, I'm afraid.
Oh, Commander, I was wondering maybe if you're free this evening, you'd care to join us.
Well, I'd love to show you the way, but I really don't want to impose myself on you.
Oh, but you wouldn't be, Commander. We'd be indebted to you. We'd be four, wouldn't we, Virginia?
Yes, we would.
Well, that's great then.
Oh, this is really kind of you.
Not so. It's kind of you.
Sounds more fun than any of those divine places in Paris.
Commander, I don't think I like you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was simply oozing with kindly charm.
Which I find quite resistible. Commander, you are a rake.
We should call me Max.
All right. Max, you're a rake.
If we're going to sum each other up, you are heartless. Beautiful, but heartless. You knew perfectly well that I was unaware of your engagement to Charles, but you led me on. When I put my foot in it, you took pleasure in my discomfort. That's being heartless.
I'm sorry. I admit I did lead you on a bit.
I accept your apology.
But that doesn't alter the fact that you're a rake, oozing with charm, and that you swiped my glove to force your attentions on me.
I'd never do a thing like that.
Everybody, cha-cha-cha.
Come on, Jason. I just love the cha-cha-cha, Commander.
Will you have lunch with me tomorrow?
I don't think that would be such a good idea.
Oh.
Besides, I'm having lunch with some friends of Charles.
All right, what about Saturday? After all, Charles won't be back till next week, and the least I can do for him is to take good care of you. In memory of our wartime comradeship. You haven't answered my question. Will you have lunch with me on Saturday? Aboard my ship.
Oh, my, that was fun.
Commander, I sure am grateful to you for taking us down here.
I'm glad you liked it. Now, will you?
The commander has invited me to lunch aboard his boat.
Ship.
Ship.
Now you accept, Virginia. Why, last year in Jamaica, we had dinner on a naval boat, and it was really something.
Even Adele couldn't complain.
There you are, you see?
Go on.
So you accept.
You tell me what else I can do.
Why should I? I'm happy. To Saturday.
We won't be needing you this morning, Colthorpe.
Very good, madam.
There's a scarf in the pocket.
Your sister's, of course.
Yes, you like her. She's very nice.
I'm sure.
What sort of a boat? Oh, pardon me, ship are we going on? A destroyer?
No.
A cruiser?
No.
Oh, no, don't tell me it's a submarine.
No, I promise you that. We've arrived.
I might have guessed. Your ship. I've a good mind to make you take me straight back to London.
Oh, can't do that. I promised to give you lunch. If you don't want lunch on board, we'll have it over there. And we go for a sail afterwards.
If you think I'm going to go for a sail in these clothes, you're mistaken.
There's a pair of jeans and a sweater on board.
Your sister's?
Yes, one of our sisters.
You wouldn't happen to know what size she was, would you?
She's about your size, I would think. The food here is terribly good. I wouldn't mind having you on my crew.
I don't think I'd care to join it.
Oh?
But if you're referring to my competence, let me tell you that I crewed the Pelican when she won her class in Long Island 4 years ago.
That would be before Charles's time, no doubt. I suppose what you see in Charles is security.
Perhaps.
You're marrying for money, in other words.
You talk as if I don't love Charles. I do.
Passionately.
I think we're getting into dangerous water.
I don't think there are any rocks around here.
I'm not talking about navigational hazards.
And we're talking about the same thing. I was implying that I might be more of a matrimonial hazard if I were wealthy.
Which, fortunately, you are not.
Oh, getting money is easy.
Oh, most people find it very difficult. How would you go about getting money?
How much do you want? 50,000? 100,000?
Don't let's be too specific, just money. We're going about.
Well, in the first place, one has to have incentive. Let's imagine that you have supplied me with that.
All right, let's imagine I have. Go on.
Well, it doesn't have to be pound sterling, does it? I mean, Russian rubles would do.
Oh, certainly.
Well, in that case, I just sell some top secrets to our friends across the way.
But you don't know any top secrets.
Oh, yes, I do. The Admiralty's absolutely full of them. I just pinch one.
Oh, then Charles and I would come visit you in jail.
Oh, no. You see, a file has disappeared from the Admiralty, and they've, assumed that I've taken it.
And have you?
Let's bring the main closer.
And have you?
No, I've hidden it. Yes. Then I go on leave and I disappear. Just imagine them all at the Admiralty. Can't you see it? Everybody jumping to conclusions. The press would be in on it in no time, digging up my newsworthy past. They'd have a field day. In no time, I'd be branded as a traitor.
Fascinating insight into your character, but I still don't see how that helps you to get money.
No, nor do I, really. Yes, I do. I'd sue them for defamation of character.
Who?
The newspapers, they've just printed libelous statements about me. They've said terrible things. They've ruined my career. I could sue them for thousands. We'd collect a fortune. There you are. Simple.
We're going about. You know, Max, that's quite an ingenious idea.
I told you it was easy. I even know where I'd disappear to. I'd be shipwrecked in this little tub.
Oh?
Yes, off the coast of Scotland. Western Isles. Little group of rocks called the Skerries. I spent a leave sailing around there once. Nobody ever goes anywhere near them.
And then you just turn up with a perfectly innocent explanation and collect.
Exactly. And that's not all.
What else?
I marry you.
Oh, do you?
Well, fair's fair. You said you'd supply the incentive.
And what if I say no thanks?
Would you?
I most certainly would.
You wouldn't like me for a husband?
Well, you can hardly be described as a catch. I can just see myself cooking your dinner and waiting for the phone to ring. I'm sorry, darling, but the Admiralty want me to work late tonight. Wondering what new sister you'd found.
I'd reform.
You've successfully spent the last 20 years avoiding it. I think you're too old to change now. You know, the more we talk, the more Charles seems absolutely right for me. Is that a squall coming our way?
I should be a bit surprised. Oh, well, I think I shall have to sacrifice the old Shelduck after all. Once she's safely at the bottom of the ocean, I shall have enough money to sink Charles. Steam yacht and all. And then...
You'd actually go to all those lengths just for me.
Certainly.
do want to thank you for a lovely day.
It isn't finished yet. To absent friends. No, not him. My sisters. This is a very sad occasion. I drowned them this afternoon.
You know, Max, one of these days somebody may take you seriously.
I hope so.
It's not the pale moon that excites me, that thrills and delights me. Oh no, it's just the nearness of you. It isn't your sweet conversation that brings this thrilling sensation. Oh no, it's just the nearness of you. When you're in my arms, dear, and I feel you so close to me, all my wildest dreams come true. I need no soft lights to enchant me, darling, if you only grant me the right to hold you ever so tight, and to feel in the night the nearness of you.
Please take me home, Max.
Thank you.
Well, this is not my door. I live at 177.
I know that. But when you get to the door, you'll just say, "Good night, Max. Thanks for the lovely evening. It's been lots of fun." I can't bear the thought of not seeing you again.
Well, of course we'll see each other again.
That's not what I mean. Virginia, would you marry me?
Do you realize what you're saying?
I know that sounds strange. I've never said it before. That's probably why. Will you?
Thank you. Drink?
Thank you. What about you?
No, thank you. Max, I don't think we should see each other again.
It's not quite as simple as that.
No, please finish your drink. I'm sorry. It's not your fault or mine. But please go.
Могу вам сказать только одно. Балет у них знаменитый. Техника-то... Здравствуйте.
Do you speak English?
A little. I was with the British ship 2 months. It's very difficult.
Yes, I can imagine.
А с ним что такое? Так говорил.
Ищет. Затем видно, стоит, понимаете, такая длинная. Она спрашивает, сколько? Я говорю,
you speak
10...
English?
Actually, my friends don't, but I do.
A pity.
Easton appears to have had a few.
More, I should say.
Would you like me to have a word with him, sir?
No, leave it. Never seen him like this before. He's been a bit under the weather the last few days. I've noticed it. He's off on leave tomorrow, isn't he?
Yes, 10 days.
Good. I suppose he'll go away somewhere. Change will do him good.
Еще, по крайней мере, 2 часа.
Do you speak English? Not a word. You're just the man I'm looking for. You mean you don't understand a word I'm saying?
А, за ваше здоровье.
Now, the banana is a very strange fruit. There's no seeds. It's round in section, very small.
Я вас не понимаю.
It has a certain length. It's about that long, and it's slightly curved.
Thank you. You're very good help, sir. This is made from potatoes, is it not, sir?
Not at all, sir. Made from grain.
Now, the apple, on the other hand...
Я лучше
Near Black Sea.
Стану переводчика.
No, you mustn't look confused. That'll never do. I shall have to think... Oh, I know. Money, that's the thing. Sixpence.
О, понимаю, понимаю. Вы хотите посмотреть русские деньги? Вот деньги. Вот.
Oh, yes.
100-рублевка.
100-рублевка.
Видите? Вот еще 100-рублевка.
Of preparation is belong to government, the main distributors of that. Of course, after a few of them, you will be very, very jolly.
I think the foundation is well and truly laid, sir. Thank you very much, old boy.
До свидания. До свидания.
You and that Russian fellow seem as thick as thieves.
What exactly do you mean by that?
I just said you two seem to be getting on like a house on fire.
Will you post this letter for me, please?
Certainly, sir.
And cancel all deliveries till you hear from me. I'll be back on Monday week.
Very good, sir.
Hey, don't put any luggage on that rod.
Oh, sorry, sir.
Well, goodbye, Max. Enjoy yourself. Have fun.
Don't worry. I will.
Now, if you just signed the receipt.
Oh, I have sent this to me. Thank you. It's coming.
Thank you. Havana?
Hello.
Oh.
Good morning, Commander.
Good morning.
I thought you'd gone on leave.
I left 22 things in my office.
Anyway, it's Saturday, you know.
I know. Price.
Yes, sir?
Have you seen The World of Susie Wong?
A book? No.
It's a paperback. Should be here somewhere. Dare say one of the girls has swiped it to read in the tea break.
I don't think that's likely, Commander. It'll be here somewhere. That is, if you left it here. Are you sure you didn't take it home with you?
I know darned well that I didn't take it home with me.
Then we'll find it.
Did either of you take The World of Susie Wong?
No, sir. No, sir, but I've read it.
It must be here somewhere. It's a yellow book with a Chinese girl on the cover. Haven't you got any work to do? Did you find it, Miss Price?
Not yet, sir.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter. It's not that important. Oh, this is where I shall be in case anyone wants to get in touch with me. Captain Balfour in Scotland. Goodbye.
Goodbye, sir.
Bye, Miss Price.
Goodbye, Commander. Have a nice time. We shall miss you.
She'll be all right for 10 or 20 minutes, won't she?
So long as you're back by 12, I'll go for my lunch then.
Fine. Won't be long. Excuse me, could you tell me which is the Karl Marx?
That's it over there, sir.
Oh.
You'll have to get permission from the Harbour Control if you want to go aboard, sir.
I've no intention of going to Harbour Control. I asked you a simple question. All I want is a straightforward answer, or is that asking too much?
Can I see your pass, sir?
My pass? Is that all you can think of?
And may I ask why you want to go on board her?
Did I say I wanted to go on board her? And anyway, what business is it of yours?
Now look, I'm not here as an ornament, you know.
That is patently obvious.
Can I have your name?
No, you cannot have my name.
I've a good mind to report you.
Oh, forget it.
What do you make of that, Bud?
What do I make of that? I'll soon fix him. Get me the gate. Oh, Jolly, who was that character in the bowler hat you let in just now? Oh, late 30s. Good looking, I suppose. Well dressed. La-di-da accent. What? You didn't? Right.
Now, calling the Navy. Here's a request from 2 able seamen from HMS Eskimo who signed themselves underpaid, overworked, and far from home. For their fiancées, Noreen and Rita of Muswell Hill. Aloha, oi.
Oh, darling, that's wonderful news. I do congratulate you.
At first, I didn't think I could play bridge well enough.
But you hate cards.
Well, that wasn't the impression I gave our dear Lady Cynthia, who, by the way, is a congenital card sharp. Never less than 2 trumps did I see concealed in that area that fashion decrees shall be plunging. I think that both from the point of view of concealing cards and concealing Cynthia, it would be preferable if our ambassador's wife were not such a slave to fashion. But what about you? Has everybody been looking after you?
Everyone's been very sweet. Even Commander Easton took me under his wing. He took me sailing.
And if I know our Max, he made a pass at you.
Well, he tried, but I parried successfully. I'm so glad you're back. I don't think we'll ever see Max Easton again. I got a little note from him yesterday, I think it was, in which he, well, sort of apologized for his behavior and wished us the best of luck.
Well, at least he has principles.
Your sleepers are ready when you want them, sir.
Thank you. I couldn't really ask my father to come down to London. He's over 80, you know, although you wouldn't think so. Half the time he behaves like a retarded 8-year-old. And then there's my sister coming up with her 2 little monsters. Yowling children and animals all over the place. I'm afraid our romantic village wedding in Scotland is going to be bedlam, my poor darling.
I love it. And anyway, I'm not marrying them. I'm marrying you.
I just want to see what it says about old Forrester.
Oh, you mean your friend in Switzerland?
Good heavens. They say he was forced to resign from the embassy.
Oh, but it's true, he was.
Yes, but they hushed it all up. This is an outrage. He ought to sue them.
You know, it's funny you should say that. Max Easton had a rather amusing idea on how to get money out of the newspapers.
No, what was that?
I don't know, something about... He thought it would be very funny if he disappeared under highly suspicious circumstances, and when they'd said enough terrible things about him, suddenly reappear with a perfectly innocent explanation and sue them for thousands.
That's wonderful. He ought to do it.
Bye, Mom. Bye, Mrs. Sutton. Don't be back too late. Before you are.
I
take it that noisy young man's our choice's latest.
He seems very nice. Going towards the church hall. No, down towards London Road. What's the
But you were expecting him.
Oh, yes, we were expecting him.
You didn't get any telegram or message or anything?
Oh, nothing, old boy. Not a peep. Never showed up. But you know old Max. Wish I could help you.
You see, sir, it's rather awkward. He's overstayed his leave.
Oh.
Would you get in touch with me, sir, if you hear anything from Commander Easton? I'd be most grateful.
Yes, certainly we will.
Thank you, sir. Goodbye.
I take it your esteemed boss has forgotten which day of the week it is.
Well, he's not at home, sir. He was due to stay with some friends up north. He never showed up.
Oh, don't look so worried, sir. I'll hold the fort. Any calls for him, put them through to me. I'll deal with them.
But surely he'd have sent us a telegram or something if he was ill. Well, shouldn't we report it?
What, start their lordships flapping? Don't be so wet. I've been looking after his work for a week, and believe me, sir, the pair of us went to Paris for a month. I don't think anybody would notice it. Now stop worrying and relax.
Why was I not told about this before?
Well, you see, sir...
I'm afraid it's my fault.
What right did you to interfere?
Well, it didn't seem to me to be of any importance.
You wanted to shield Easton in case he got into trouble, is that it?
Well, I can only repeat, sir, it didn't seem very important.
Who are you to judge whether a thing is important or not? You know perfectly well what the normal procedure is for an officer who overstays his leave. Easton isn't in his flat, his car isn't in his garage, and he never reached the people he was intended to stay with. For all we know, the poor chap may have had an accident. And you think you're doing him a favor with this childish covering up? Larkin, you ought to know better. Get on to the local police and ask them to find out what's happened to Easton. That's all.
Don't seem right, you coming here with a warrant. It's not as if he's done anything. You said so yourself. I'll get into trouble and you won't care, will you? No, it's already...
Decided to go, you leave me no alternative. May the future bring us both better things. Where did you find this?
In his desk, when we went over his flat.
And you think it proves he's been blackmailed?
Well, it doesn't prove it, but it does suggest it.
I can think of half a dozen other explanations. He could be finishing off an affair with a girl.
It's not just the letter on its own. It's the letter taken in conjunction with other things.
What other things?
His bank balance was low.
The end of the month. Isn't your bank balance low? Mine is.
The fact that he sold his car.
Could have bought another one. We don't know. Anyway, it's no crime to sell a car.
How do you explain his behavior at the Russian embassy 10 days ago?
Vodka?
Why did he fail to turn up in Scotland, where he was expected on leave?
I don't know. May have changed his mind. Decided to go somewhere else. Perhaps he had an accident.
Strange it hasn't been reported.
You're a policeman. You've got suspicious minds. It'll take more than this to convince me.
All right, sir. We won't trouble you any more for a moment.
Had already placed large orders for many kinds of consumer goods. Cloudy weather with slight rain is expected in most eastern districts tomorrow. In the west, it will be warmer with bright periods. The time is 9.5 minutes past 1. That is the end of the news, but here is a police message. The police are anxious to trace the whereabouts of Commander Max Easton, RN. Commander Easton will probably be better remembered for his wartime exploits as Rammer Easton.
Here we go.
Will anyone who can give information please communicate with New Scotland Yard?
Nice,
Telephone number Whitehall 1212, or with any police station. That is the end of the police station.
Here, Bert.
Aye?
Here, look at this. Isn't this the bloke that was in here the other week? You remember? Asked about the Karl Marx.
Well, look who he was. Rammer Easton.
Oh, he's reported missing.
Too ruddy straight he's missing. He went on the Karl Marx.
Good grief. Rammer Easton's been seen boarding a Russian ship.
Rammer Easton? Where?
Liverpool.
Oh, hello, dear. Can I get your sherry?
Yes, please. I wonder if anybody takes this sort of thing seriously. The member for South Grinstead moved the resolution to accompanying cheers from the backbenchers. Undoubtedly, reports our political correspondent, the House was swayed by Mr. Siddon's stirring and impassioned plea. That ass couldn't stir coffee. He's a cousin of Georgina's. Failed his entrance exam into Eton. Now that takes talent. Thank you, Nolly. I suppose somebody reads this stuff, otherwise they wouldn't bother to write it. You know, I believe that these days people are intelligent in direct proportion to what they disbelieve in the newspapers. I suppose that's why my father has them around. Good heavens.
What is it, dear?
Max Easton. He's gone and done it.
Done what, Charles?
Well, look. Exactly what you said. You see? He's going to let them have their say, then he'll turn up later and sue them for damages. Now, this isn't funny.
Well, you've laughed on the train.
I didn't take it seriously on the train. Something's got to be done about this at once.
Charles.
Realize the whole country's being duped. The entire press is printing this in good faith. Their integrity is at stake.
Well, I'm sure there's some explanation.
Of course there isn't.
Well, we don't know that.
Virginia, we cannot be parties to a fraud.
Well, perhaps it isn't a fraud. Perhaps there's some innocent explanation. Perhaps he'd show up and sue us instead of the newspapers.
Don't be ridiculous.
Well, and anyway, if he has done this and we report him, he's in serious trouble. Now, you don't want to put Max Easton in jail for 5 years.
There's place for him. I mean, fun's fun and all that, but this is going a little too far.
Well, now, Charles, really, all we have to go by is one frivolous conversation. I think we'd be taking an awful lot for granted.
Oh, there it is. Good evening, my dear. Do wish people would put the evening papers back where they belong, on the hall table.
You might remove your tadpoles while you're about it. I almost drank them.
Well, tadpoles and alcohol? Oh, possible.
Oh, now, Charles, don't worry about this. It'll be all right.
Now, for goodness sake, don't mention a word of this to the old man.
Well, we can't keep him from reading it in the newspapers.
He doesn't know we know Easton.
Well, he will if you tell the police.
Blast that man.
Questions were asked in the House of Commons last night about the missing naval commander, Max Easton. In a written answer, the First Lord said that there had been no confirmed information about the movements of Commander Easton, and that he did not propose to make any further statement until inquiries now proceeding were finished. He ended by referring to Commander Easton's war record. As a submarine commander, Rammer Easton, as he became known,
was 3 times decorated and was responsible for sinking many tons of enemy shipping. Another opposition speaker asked whether Commander Easton had ever shown any indication of unreliability as regards his political beliefs. The First Lord repeated that he did not intend to comment further at this.
I'm engaged on special relations. At this stage, the Admiralty are not prepared to comment.
Will you see the naval correspondent of the Daily Telegraph?
Well, I'm doing my best.
No, I cannot see the naval correspondent of the Daily Telegraph. Very good. Well, ask him to wait. John, see what the fellow wants, will you?
Hello.
Oh, no, that's a silly question.
DUSWDS, policeman.
What?
Hello? DRO? He's on the other line.
Evans here, sir.
What's the meaning of letting the press crawl all over this office?
I'm sorry, sir, there must have been a mistake.
Mistake?
We're having all calls put through here. But we can't go on stalling much longer, sir.
If I'm interrupted again, I'll have your guts for garters.
I'm sorry, sir.
Bunch of idiots. Just disconnect the telephone. Don't speak to them at all.
That, sir, I'm afraid would only result in the publication of wild rumors.
All right, well, what's wrong with no comment? Perfectly reasonable statement.
If we refuse to comment, they will imply that our refusal is an attempt to cover up something.
All right, well, say something then.
If we make some vague statement, sir, because we don't know all the facts, it'll be exaggerated beyond all recognition. The press and the public have a genius for twisting things.
You might have seen to Graham that before Easton made a bunk, he was transferred to the RAF. Give them a headache for a change.
We still have no definite proof, sir.
The question in the House is definite enough. Apart from a possible predilection for caviar, can somebody please explain to me why Easton should disappear? I take it that, like all other operational officers, his knowledge of scientific matters is as profound as my maiden aunt's. He's as much use to a potential enemy as she would be. Who are you?
Well, Brown, what is it?
I thought you ought to be informed right away, sir. I've been checking Commander Easton's personal filing cabinet. There's a file missing, sir. It's, Well, go on, man. It's a file on Starfish 1.
Commander Easton, did you manage to salvage any food before the shell duck found it on the rocks? No. So what did you live on? Well, shellfish mostly, and limpets and things like that. An occasional gull's egg. Raw. Uh-huh. What about water? Well, there were rain puddles in the rocks. A little stale, but one gets used to it. Now, why didn't I light the bonfire before? Have you ever tried to light damp seaweed with a box of soggy matches? That's all I had. Why was I asking about the carve marks? It's bound to come up. Well, I was told that there was a ship's chandler just opposite, and I needed a tin of paraffin. Why didn't I try swimming? Well, I'm not a very good swimmer. Come on. Say something awful about me. Call me a traitor. Then I can start packing up.
Treachery by officers having access to secret information. Finally, there is an unconfirmed report that Commander Easton has been seen in Warsaw.
Obviously, high time I returned to civilization. I'll buy you a new one. Time I lit the bonfire.
Really a friend of yours, Charles?
Good heavens, no, just a chance acquaintance.
But you knew him. You knew him too, Virginia.
Oh, in a casual sort of way.
What did he look like? Did he look like a spy? Did he have thin, twisted lips with grey, steely eyes?
Not that I remember. And anyway, we don't know that he's a traitor. Ex-submariner flees with file. Yet he's obviously sold atomic secrets to Russia.
What's a submariner? Someone who goes in a submarine, silly. But it doesn't say he went by submarine.
It doesn't even say that he's done it.
It does in my paper, Uncle Charles.
That's quite enough for you to finish your breakfast. You really are a child, Charles. Of course he did it. I happen to know that... Well, that he's very unlikely to have done it.
Of course he's unlikely to have done it, darling. That's why the Admiralty employed him. Finish, Charles.
I'm not hungry. Virginia, I'd like to have a word with you when you've finished your breakfast.
I'm not very hungry either. Excuse me.
Virginia, this has got to stop.
Well, I don't know what we can do.
It may be unpleasant, but we have to do it. We have to report him.
Oh, Charles, couldn't we just pretend like we know nothing about it for a while longer?
Then if eventually they ask you why you haven't come forward sooner?
Well, I could just say I wasn't sure.
I wish to heaven I'd never set eyes on the man. I hope he's gone for good.
It's a relief to read a newspaper without seeing Easton's name in it.
You can
flog a dead horse for so long. I think if I ever hear that blasted man's name again, I'll scream.
There he is.
We'll be right with you, Commander Easton!
Feeling better? Well, you've led us a merry dance, right up and down the country. You had me fooled all along. I wasn't the only one, mind you. More tea? There's plenty in the flask. Still, we came just as soon as we got your message.
Look, there he is. Where? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. I recognize him.
All right, press here. Mind your backs out of the way, please. All right, hold it for the camera. Rama, here's one over here, will you? Rama, look over here. Come on, look over here.
How do you think it's getting done?
It's amazing. There's not the slightest sign of exposure.
None?
No, absolutely none. He must be a very fit man. You'd think he'd had 10 days' holiday. Well, you needn't worry. You can travel whenever you want. I'll be on my way. It's nice to have met the notorious Commander Easton. Bye now.
Would you leave us a moment, Mr. Gregson? Well, we'll be downstairs if you want us in.
Easton. My dear Easton, I'm so glad you're all right.
It's good of you to come up, sir.
My dear fellow, as soon as I heard about the message, I got on a plane. You know, you were damn lucky that bottle was picked up. Could have been smashed on the rocks, anything. Sort of thing you read in children's books. Quite amazing.
Yes, amazing.
Still, the main thing is, the bottle with your message was found, you're safe, and I can't tell you how good it is to have you back.
It's good to be back, sir. Very good.
Easton, whilst you've been away from, how shall I put it, civilization,
One or two unfortunate things have happened. Naturally, during your absence, you've been out of touch with news.
Well, I didn't have the newspapers delivered to my doorstep, if that's what you mean, sir.
No. Joking apart, it must have been a bit of an ordeal.
Oh, I don't know, sir.
Not knowing when you'd be rescued, wondering what people would be thinking.
Well, I don't have any very close relatives, sir.
No, I don't mean thinking you might be drowned. I mean thinking you might have, sort of...
Thinking I might have what, sir?
I don't know, behaved badly. I mean, you know what people are.
You mean people might have thought that I'd done something dishonorable and then cleared out?
No, not exactly. They tended to think that you'd gone over to the other side.
The other side? The other side of what, sir?
Well, you know, I mean, politically.
No.
I'm afraid they did.
But who was it who thought this?
More than one person. All of them, really.
All of them? But not the Admiralty, sir.
Well, we fought against it, of course, but eventually, well, the evidence.
Evidence? What evidence?
Well, it seems trivial now, but at the time it was hard to go against the tide of popular opinion.
But hadn't you any faith?
Faith, yes. But I'm afraid our faith wasn't strong enough.
But you must have known that I wouldn't do a thing like that.
I did know. At least I should have known. But you see, there was a file missing, and then you'd behaved so strangely at the embassy, and then you'd been seen in Liverpool.
Well, I just popped ashore in Liverpool to send you a picture postcard.
Yes, I know. But you see, there was also this business about a file. One of your files is missing.
One of my files?
Or it had dropped down behind the back of a cabinet. Not even yours. Of course, there's a perfectly logical explanation to everything. But at the time, it all seemed to point to you having...
Yes. I see that. And now I suppose you'll want my resignation.
Your resignation? Whatever for?
Well, I've been rather heavily tarred, haven't I?
You've been completely vindicated.
But some of the mud the papers flung should stick.
They'll eat their words. They'll have to eat their words.
Oh, no. Be realistic, sir. My usefulness to the Admiralty is finished.
They've no right to castigate a perfectly innocent officer. No right at all. They've libeled you. They should be sued for defamation of character.
I couldn't do that, sir.
Why not? You should have read some of the things they said about you. Make your blood boil.
Really?
Absolutely outrageous.
But surely the whole thing is best forgotten.
I don't agree at all. You should make them suffer. And the only way to make the paper suffer is to make them pay. Make them pay handsomely.
You really think I should do that?
Definitely. Let them know they can't play fast and loose with an officer in the Royal Navy.
Everything's ready, sir.
Oh, yes. All right. Thank you, Jones. Do you feel up to it now?
Up to it?
The press?
You mean I have to see them?
Would be better. Just a word or two.
I don't think I could be polite to them.
Well, I know how you must feel, but remember, these aren't the same fellows.
Well, if you think I ought to.
Stout fella.
What shall I tell them?
Just tell them the truth.
Darling, can I fix you a drink?
Yes, please.
Looking for something?
Oh, I was just wondering if the evening newspaper was anywhere around.
No, haven't you seen it?
Well, it's not really important.
What sort of bottle?
Huh? Oh, that's gin, isn't it?
No, I mean, what sort of bottle did you put the SOS message in?
SOS message?
The one that rescued Easton from the Skerries. It's spread tonight on every front page in the country. Virginia, this has gone too far. You knew all along where he was, didn't you?
Well, I didn't know. I sort of had a hunch.
Because he sort of mentioned it.
In a way.
According to one report, the bottle was found by a small boy. So that when you had taken the car out and you were supposed to be having your hair done, you were actually turning some innocent little schoolboy into a juvenile delinquent.
Oh, no, Charles. I saw this little boy on the beach, and I told him that I thought the bottle was a crab. And by the time he found that the crab was a bottle, I wasn't there.
Now, just answer me one question. That's all I ask. Why in heaven's name did you do it?
Well, somebody had to bring him back. You said so yourself.
Yes, but do you realize what you've done? You've become an accessory to what is obviously going to be a gigantic fraud. And I can only say that it's going to take all of my influence to keep your name out of it. Fortunately, I think I can do this if I catch the train to London tonight. Of course, the whole thing is criminal. That's why we felt it had to be brought to your notice. You mustn't be allowed to get away with it.
How can you be certain of this, if I may ask, Sir Charles?
Oh, well, we have our sources of information, as you do.
Which you'd rather not disclose. I understand, sir.
One small point. I would appreciate it if my name were kept out of this rather unfortunate business.
Oh, I think that can be arranged, Sir Charles.
Thank you.
You put up a fine show, Easton. Shouldn't be at all surprised if, thanks to you, our recruiting figures are up this month.
Well, there's little else I could do, sir.
Fine effort. You're going to be a rich man by the look of it. Oh, they haven't a leg to stand on. It's an open and shut case. You mark my words, they'll be only too pleased to settle out of court. Well, imagine a spot of leave wouldn't come amiss, huh? We'll have to see what we can do.
Thank you, sir.
Jolly good. See to that, will you, Bates?
Yes, sir.
Lucky so-and-so. How long is it this time?
Only 3 weeks.
Only 3 weeks? For 3 weeks away from this place, I climbed the North Pole.
I'm sorry about the fishing rod, John.
I'm sorry, too.
I'll buy you another.
That's what I'm afraid of.
You can choose it yourself.
Can I?
Yes, of course. That's the least I can do for you.
Have you any idea what a rod can set you back?
Come in. You choose, I pay.
Captain Graham would like to see you before you go.
Fine, thank you.
Of course, I forgot you're in the money now, too. He probably wants you to guarantee his bank account. You know, you couldn't have had it better if you planned it yourself.
See you, characters, in 3 weeks.
Bye, sir.
Bye.
So long, Max.
I wonder if they do gold-mounted fishing rods.
You wanted to see me, sir?
Yes, come in, Easton. You remember Gregson?
Yes, of course. I caused you a lot of unnecessary inconvenience, I'm afraid.
Easton, Gregson here has made a very disquieting accusation.
Really, sir?
Yes. He says he has reason to believe that you planned the whole thing.
What whole thing, sir?
Well, he says you planned to disappear so that you could sue the newspapers.
Sue the newspapers? But with respect, sir, you'll remember that was your idea.
That's true. It was. Easton was dead against it. Well, there we are. Straightforward enough.
Well, Commander, what do you say?
I can only say that this accusation takes me completely by surprise.
I can quite believe that. You see, sir, I think that the bottle which enabled us to rescue you was planted by an accomplice on land.
What on earth are you talking about?
Do you still maintain, Commander, that you threw the bottle into the sea?
Certainly.
Then, of course, you'd know what kind of a bottle it was. And you'd be sure to remember the contents of the message, the actual wording. What sort of a bottle was it, Commander?
Well, tell him, Easton. Then we can settle this ridiculous matter once and for all.
Excuse me?
Well, Commander?
I'm afraid I have absolutely no idea.
I thought not, sir.
You see, I'm afraid I don't know which bottle was picked up. I must have thrown in at least half a dozen. At various times. Different messages, of course. I was in a pretty desperate situation, you know?
Oh, I can imagine that.
You had several bottles available?
Bottles are typical of the sort of jetsam you find on the west coast of Scotland. Surely you don't think he'd put in one bottle and rely on that one being picked up? Bit too much of a coincidence. Very Gregson. Hello?
Graham?
Yes?
We've made out the statement.
Good.
Like to see it?
Fine. I'll come up right away. Press relations are putting out a final statement about you, Easton. That should put an end to all this nonsense. Your informant must be somebody with a very peculiar sense of humor. Or someone with a grudge against him. Excuse me.
You know, I really did think to start with that you'd gone to Russia. I'd have staked everything I had on it.
Really?
Strange how everything you did seemed to point toward it. The long arm of...
Coincidence?
Coincidence. Then I changed my mind. Thought it was just another case of fraud. An unusual one, mind. Usually it's someone trying to swindle an insurance company.
And you thought that I would try to swindle the press? But how could anybody with any integrity do a thing like that? I mean, that would be dishonest. Wouldn't it?
Exactly, Commander. So you see what silly ideas you can get sometimes. Well, you're back among us now, and no one's the worse. That's the main thing. Goodbye, Commander.
Goodbye, sir.
Goodbye. Virginia?
I suppose you expect me to fall into your arms.
Well, I wouldn't run away.
Knowing you, I'm sure you wouldn't.
All right, I won't. Going away?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I'm going back to the States. There's nothing more to keep me in London.
I see.
What do you want, Max?
Well, I want to thank you, among other things. You may not know it, but you saved my life.
Obviously, that was a mistake.
Well, you can't have felt that way when you put the message in the bottle.
That was a mistake, too.
Virginia, why did you have me rescued?
I don't know. I wish I hadn't. I wish I'd never set eyes on you. You're like a dangerous drug. If one isn't careful, one can become an addict, and I don't want to be an addict. So I wish you'd go, Max. Goodbye.
Hello, darling. Claire told me you'd caught the morning train. Have a good trip. I think you'll find that my trip was thoroughly worthwhile making. I handled the situation rather well, I think. You see, they'll keep us out of it.
Good evening, Charles. Good evening.
I'd appreciate it, Easton, if you left this house at once. I don't want any unpleasantness here. I suggest you go and get yourself arrested somewhere else.
So that's how you handle the situation. Why, Charles, that's despicable. You're a stool pigeon. Even crooks don't do that.
I don't propose to discuss with you the rather curious ethics of American gangsterdom. And as for you, Easton, I think you'll be lucky if you get away with 5 years.
For what?
For fraud. For attempting to hoax the public and trying to swindle the newspapers. You're going to get everything that you deserve. You'll get publicity, all right, but it won't be the sort you're expecting. Some of the less reputable newspapers will no doubt print the story of your life in prison. How I learned to sew mailbags. Fascinating reading. They won't pay very much, of course, but by the time you come out, You'll need every penny you can lay your hands on.
What a wonderfully vivid imagination you've got, Charles.
It was no figment of the imagination that an accomplice, who shall be nameless for obvious reasons, planted the bottle that exposed you. They always say that crooks slip up on some minor detail, and I'm glad to see that you're no exception to the rule. In your case, it was the bottle.
Which bottle?
Ah, you may well ask. You never saw it.
Yes, but which one? There are lots of bottles now. Funnily enough, half a dozen turned up only this afternoon. I shouldn't be surprised if they start popping up all over the place from now on.
This is true. Virginia, is this true?
Well.
Virginia, did you plant more than one bottle?
You do ask the silliest questions, Charles. Of course I did.
Do you realize what that means?
Well, yes, I do, Charles, and I'm terribly sorry. That's why I thought it might be better if I went home for a while. I know you'll never understand why I did it, and I really can't explain it.
But don't you see, this man's a thief. He means to sue the newspapers.
Oh, what on earth gave you that idea? They acted in good faith. I couldn't possibly do a thing like that. At least I could, but I'm too honest. That's my trouble.
The trouble with you, Easton, is that you have no principles. A quality I find singularly unattractive. I emphasize the singular because I seem to be alone in this view.
Oh, I'm sorry, Charles.
One of the hardest lessons in life is to learn to accept defeat gracefully.
Charles, I'm sorry.
I haven't learned it yet.
I thought you handled that very well.
Goodbye, Max.
I don't feel like saying goodbye.
Goodbye, Max.
You're always saying goodbye, Max. Seemed inappropriate the last time. It seems even more inappropriate now.
Nothing has changed. You've been to all these lengths and gone to all this trouble for nothing.
Not nothing. For you.
Nothing has changed, Max.
Oh, yes, it has. I'm famous. I'm going to be rich.
So you are going to sue them. I thought for once you were telling the truth.
I was. Of course I'm not suing them.
But you say you're going to be rich.
We, darling. Charles has given us a wedding present. A wonderful idea. The more I think about it, the better it seems. I'm going to sell my story, the true story, to the highest bidder.
The true story? How you planned it all? And laid all those red herrings and pretended to be a...
No, don't be silly, darling. The true story. How I miraculously survived without food or water after that terrible shipwreck. The true story. I'll probably get even more than if I sued them. Now, nobody could call that dishonest, could they?
You are the most outrageous person.
The best people always are.
You're dishonest, deceitful, untrustworthy, unscrupulous.
Yes, dear.
Unprincipled. A rascal. A rogue. A rake.
Scoundrel.
A scoundrel. A snake. Dishonest?
We had that one, dear.
Unreliable, untrustworthy, wicked, but I love you.